Hello, YouTube. All right, today's topic. Thought I would discuss something somewhat timely, but kind of important. If you've been watching the news, or social media especially, then you know that they just wrapped up the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard defamation trial from their divorce. And it looks like most of the ruling was in favor of Johnny Depp. Meanwhile, Amber Heard has been demonized all over social media. Anyhow, I wanted to talk about this topic, and the topic is divorce. I'm not sure what the statistics are around the whole world, but I know in America, it's like 50-50 now. You have almost a 50% chance of getting a divorce when you get married. And I know, having gone through a really bad divorce that resulted in me becoming homeless and living in a van and all that, makes me question how many van dwellers out there ended up as van dwellers as a result, either directly or indirectly, as a result of their divorce. Comment down below and let me know. I'm just curious, because I was watching YouTube the other day and I saw Bob Wells, and he had mentioned that he ended up living in his van, or living in a vehicle, partially because of his divorce. So I'm like, maybe this is more common than I thought. Maybe a lot of people end up living in a van because they went through a divorce that kind of destroyed all their assets. So if that's you, comment down below. I'm just curious. And if you're not divorced, if you're like a single person, take heed of this advice, okay? And that is, prepare for divorce. You've got to prepare beforehand for divorce. I don't care how much in love you think you are and how you think you're never going to get divorced. Because believe me, all the people who got married that ended up in divorce, they didn't think they were going to get a divorce either. They thought everything was going to be like happily ever after they got married. You know, even Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, they were in love. What beats love? Divorce. And if you're in America with a 49-50% chance of divorce, you really should plan for it. And I don't mean it to discourage people from staying married and stuff. I'm just telling you to be practical. Because if you're not, you could end up homeless, living in a van, unprepared. And, you know, based on what I know from my own experiences and from watching other people and stuff, this is what I would recommend. Okay, whether you're male or female. Now keep in mind, in America, at least, usually divorce hurts the man more. Because they'll come after the man for child support and maybe alimony and all sorts of other stuff. Take half his assets. You know, they generally don't go after the woman for that. They generally go after the men. So, men, you're in greater danger than women. You know, some women will argue, but that's the way it is here. You know, they just look around. All the men. Sometimes men are responsible for kids that aren't even theirs. You know, so you got to protect yourself. And I know some people become anti-marriage, anti-women. I'm not one of those people. You know, I got remarried. I don't plan on getting divorced, but I am preparing just in case. You know, because of what happened the first time, I know better now. And I actually discussed it with my wife. I had to explain to her, you know, why I have to do certain things the way I do. And she said she doesn't blame me, you know. And I say she should do the same thing. We don't plan on getting divorced, but who plans on getting married and getting divorced? You know, unless you're like a gold digger and marrying an old man or an old lady, wait for them to croak and then inherit all their money, you know. And then you're not planning for divorce. You're just planning on them dying before you and you getting everything. But if you get into a marriage and you're prepared for divorce, you're going to be better off. And I think both partners should know that. You shouldn't really do it behind your partner's back. you should kind of be open about it, and both parties should prepare. And how you can prepare is do some stuff that I didn't do. Like when I got married, all our assets were joint assets. I put everything into the main checking account, and everything was all mine from my job and everything. My ex-wife didn't have to work or anything, and I let her have access to all that. And then when I got credit cards, because I used to have decent credit, I have terrible credit now. Just finally got a credit card again. And it's crappy terms and stuff, but I got it just because you kind of need credit. I don't really use it. I try to use it responsibly. Maybe I'll talk about that in another video. But you want to have separate accounts. So when you get married, what you probably want to do, or maybe not even married, if you're living with somebody and you're really close, you want to have an account that's a shared account with joint assets. And that's one you use to pay for your rent, your bills, your utilities, everything else. But then you also want to have separate accounts that the other party, won't have access to unless you die. Only you can access it. And that should be your own bank account with checking, not necessarily checking, but savings, debit card and stuff. Maybe a credit card too, a credit account that's just under your name. And that's the minimum that I recommend doing. And you're like, well, I trust my ex. They're not gonna believe me. Everybody who went through divorce, trusted their ex. For whatever reason that they got a divorce, that trust, that relationship was compromised. That relationship was broken. And the person who can hurt you the most is the person you trusted. Believe me, they had access to everything. Your heart, your love, your accounts. So make sure you have your own bank account, your own money that's stored, that's stashed. How much should you put in there? Well, enough to kind of survive if you have to and you lose all your assets. In my case, because the divorce was so bad and the way it went down, I lost everything. I didn't just get a divorce. I lost my job, my reputation, my ability to make an income. And at the same time, the state of Florida kept making me pay child support and stuff, threatening to put me in jail. And then when you can't pay, they put you in arrears and you owe, and you have all these penalties and all these other fees you got to pay, and court fees, and they make you pay for all these things that you have to pay to deal with the court as part of the divorce. So you got to have enough money to prepare for that, for yourself, whether you're the man or the woman. The other thing you should have is a plan on what to do about living situation. Most of the time, the woman ends up getting the house. Especially if you have children involved. So if you're a man, you better have a backup plan on how you're going to live. And if you're not rich, like me, I would suggest learning about van dwelling and things like that, and maybe even preparing your vehicle in the event. Set up your vehicle as a camper. Or know how to convert it easily into a camper. Basically, study just to prep yourself. Know some of the tricks, like using an inverter to convert 12 volts to 120 volts, so if you need that. Knowing how to sleep in your vehicle, where to sleep, how to sleep. Knowing how you can kind of camp on it, and still function. Going camping is one thing, but stealth camping in the city because you have to keep working is another. So learning these skills are important. If you can, I would recommend just trying to make sure you have enough resources, enough money and stuff. The other thing you need to be careful of is if you have friends, whether they're joint friends with your wife or husband, especially those joint friends, once the divorce or the split up occurs, those people might not be your friends anymore. They could even become your enemies. They could end up turning against you and becoming a problem. So you got to make sure you have your own separate friends, your own support network that's not tied into your spouse. Because if you do that, you may have an issue. In my case, my support network that was not home related could have been my work, but because of how things went down, and I was a teacher, and with the district and everything that went down, the accusations that were made against me, the county, the superintendent and them told my support network, which were my other teachers, my professional co-workers, that they had to steer clear of me or they would be in trouble. Like their retirement and everything else would be in jeopardy. So don't count on necessarily your co-workers, maybe some friends that aren't joint friends with your spouse, because if they're joint friends, things can get distorted. So if you have an individual friend, maybe you make a pact. If something happens, you can count on this person. But I would have more than one. I'd probably have at least 3, maybe 4 as a backup. Now, if you're already a van dweller, you're probably like me, you're kind of a loner. So, I didn't have very many friends. And the ones that I did, when all this stuff went down, they ended up not helping. They didn't. There was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of lies that were made. How like Amber Heard made all these lies, these statements about Johnny Depp, and then people take them for face value. And the man is demonized, villainized, and destroyed. And Johnny Depp at least was famous and has money and resources available, but most normal people, they don't have those kind of resources. So all it takes is a direct attack from the person that is closest to you, your spouse, and you are sunk. So take that as a warning. Regarding relationships and stuff, I think that being in a relationship to me is probably better than not being in a relationship, because I don't want to go through life by myself. I know some people just get a pet, like a dog or a cat or something, but a cat or a dog isn't the same as having another person that you can talk to and share life experiences with. So I think it's important to have a relationship, to have a significant other, but only if you find the right one. And also if you go into it with open eyes, prepared for potential breakup and divorce. So that's my somber message for today. I do believe in love, and I think love still prevails, but just keep in mind that the odds are almost against you. So prepare yourself. Yeah. Set aside money and resources only you have access to. That doesn't mean don't have any access for joint access, but set some for joint access and then some for yourself. And for your spouse, they should have their own accounts so they can access their own stuff too in the event of a split up. That way they can't accuse you of controlling them and you hold all the money. Because if one person holds all the money, all the power, all the resources, then the other person will say that you were controlling them, you were trapping them, they didn't have anything. So make sure both parties have that and go into it. I know people fall in love for romantic reasons, or sometimes financial reasons, but you got to go into it with open eyes and know that there's a 50% chance of it not working. So prepare accordingly. Until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Stay safe, and remember to prepare. Bye-bye now.